everybody, it's Stacy Hawkins, hoping that you are having a terrific evening. Welcome so much. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, my brain is absolutely fried. If you live in the Northeast, you know why, especially if you had anything to shovel today, because we got over 1 foot of snow where I live up here on the mountain, and my driveway is a little more than a quarter of a mile long, attached to a private road that has to be snow blowed, and it was a really busy day today. But you know what? I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling awesome. I'm also feeling very hungry, as are my kids, who are hovering over, waiting for tonight's dinner to be done, because what I am making tonight is actually one of their favorite recipes, and it also happens to be lean and green. And if you've been following me on Facebook, or if you've taken a look at the website or taken a look at some of my recipes, you know that although I may be the queen of lean and green, I specialize in cooking for everyone, right? Because we all know that lean and green is really the way we should all be eating. So while those of us who are on program, which by the way, I'm down another 2 pounds this week, so I'm really excited about that. But those of us who are on program and sticking with the lean and green meal, we want to keep eating that way for the rest of our life. As JC and all of our guest speakers are talking about, we're making lifestyle changes. We're in this for the long run, and we want to be bringing our families along with us as well, if we're cooking for families or just a significant other, and letting them reap the health benefits. But nobody has to know that we're on a diet. Nobody has to know that we're transitioning to healthy eating, because they're not really going to know any difference. It's not going to be like they're eating diet food. And that is why I've become known as the queen of lean and green, because when I create meals, they are full of flavor, and tonight is no exception. While we're waiting for some people to come on the line, I do want to remind you of a couple of things. First of all, every week there is a worksheet. Not really a worksheet because you don't have any work to do, but it goes over the highlights of the things we talk about during our cooking class and demonstration, and then it also has this week's recipe on it for you, and you can find that at the top of this page. Right underneath the little picture there where everybody's jumping up and it says, "What's the risk?" there's a button that says Files on it, and if you click on that button, it will show you all the documents that you can print out. And then if you want to watch the videos are also up there under the button that says Videos. So everything is archived. So you are building a recipe library as well as a cooking video library. And if you are a health coach, you can send your clients to these pages, to both the videos and to the worksheets as well, so that they can reap the benefits and get the success thereof as well. So tonight we're talking about heart-healthy recipes, or heart-y recipes. Everything that we cook is pretty much heart healthy anyway, because we are low in fat, we are almost low or no sugar whatsoever, and everything is going to warm your heart and stick to your ribs as well. I also want to remind you of one more thing, and that is this episode and all the cooking shows that we do are best when they're live and they're interactive. So I have my amazing camera woman, Jacqueline, who happens to be my daughter, and truly underpaid junior executive.
Oh yeah, very underpaid.
Who is behind the camera, and then she's also fielding questions. So I can't see the questions and cook at the same time. So if you have questions, type them in, and Jackie will stop me as we go along, because this is all about you, and this is all interactive, and we want to make sure that we get everybody involved. So, Jack, before I go to next step, any comments or questions I need to address?
Nope.
All right, excellent. So I want to get cooking tonight. We're talking about heart-healthy recipes and hearty recipes. Again, on these cold winter days, when all we want to do is get snugly and comfortable. And oh, by the way, yes, if you are paying attention, I am cooking in my pajamas this evening. I got out of my snow clothes and just wanted to relax and be comfy tonight. So while we're wanting these creature comforts, we want the comfort foods as well. And comfort foods don't have to be things that are really high in fat and high in carbs and all those things that we associate with being traditional style comfort foods here. And tonight's recipe is no exception. I'm going to make a really hearty, rich, warm, zesty turkey chili for you, and it's just got some very basic, simple ingredients. And I'm going to actually cook it live, so I'm going to cook and talk at the same time. And Jackie, you don't have to move the camera just yet, but I will. I'll tell you as we go along exactly what I'm doing, and then show you the finished product. So I'm going to start. You see, I turned my pan on, and I'm going to add to this some of the roasted garlic oil. just about 4 teaspoons. And you may say, well, why does she do 4 teaspoons instead of 1 tablespoon, which is 3 teaspoons? It makes it a little bit easier for your lean and green counts. So this will be 1 healthy fat that's in this recipe. So you'll notice too, on all of the recipes, I put the counts out for you. So it's a no-brainer and it's very easy, and everything will wind up conforming for you with the lean and green program. So while this is heating up, I want to talk a little bit about the methodology that I'm using tonight, which is the stovetop. So you're going to see the ingredients I'm going to put in. We're just going to throw into the stovetop, into the pot on the stovetop, and then I'll let them simmer slowly. Again, it's those warm, slow-cooked, really thick, hearty foods that wind up having the most flavor. So we're going to do this on the stovetop tonight, but you could do this completely in your crock pot. You could take everything, throw it in the crock pot, and just let it sit. And I've got the crock pot directions for you on here as well. The other nice thing about this recipe that I'll talk about too is that it can also be done vegetarian. But tonight I'm going to make a turkey chili. You could use lean ground beef if you wanted to, and then you could also use chicken. I have about a pound here. Maybe it's a little bit over. Just going to put that in there. And then using one of my favorite tools ever, in fact I want to talk about this in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and just break this up and cook the turkey in here until it's opaque, which will just be a couple of minutes. This tool that I love so much, somebody commented on it the other night because you saw me use it, I think it was 2 episodes ago when we did the cauliflower rice. As soon as you steam the cauliflower, you just hit it with this. And it's got a little piece of turkey in it. Actually, that may be better because you can see the contrast a little bit better. You see how it's got this star pattern? This is really terrific for just chopping things up in the pan. And I've got to say, I absolutely love it. And people have said to me, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? It actually is a Pampered Chef product. I don't sell Pampered Chef. I know there are lots of people out there who do. If you happen to be one of them and you're on here, please, you can put a comment below that just says, I'm a Pampered Chef rep if somebody wants to be able to get this. And of course, if you know one of your own, you can get it through them as well. But this is one of those tools I just love, love, love. All right. So we're just going to let this cook until it's slightly opaque. It doesn't have to be completely cooked or browned because when we put the liquid in and put the lid on, it's actually going to simmer and finish cooking that way. All right. We'll let that go, and I want to talk a little bit more to you about the difference between the stovetop cooking and then the crock pot cooking as well. You might have noticed if you follow my blog post that last week I did a whole article on 5 simple tips to be able to get the most out of your slow cooker. I happen to absolutely love a crock pot or a slow cooker, same thing. It's kind of like Kleenex. Crock pot is the brand name, and they've all been known now as crock pots, but technically it's a slow cooker. But you get where I'm coming from. But 5 different ways to be able to maximize the use out of your crock pot. And as I started to say a minute ago, I absolutely love it because all you've got to do is throw everything in, stir it up, put the lid on, and go. And when you do that, you come home and dinner is done. All right, our turkey is done here, and it's slightly opaque. Jack, I'm going to have you bring the camera over just so everybody can sort of see the next steps.
Okay, let's see.
You can tip it down and in there so we can see what's going on. You got in the pot there?
Yep.
All right, so to my turkey, which you can see is opaque, it's still a tiny bit pink, but that's all right. I'm going to add 2 cups of diced tomatoes. These are organic. There is no sugar added. And I pressed some of the extra liquid out of it because I don't want this soupy. I'm not making soup. I'm actually making chili. I'm also going to add to this 2 good tablespoons of the Zesty white chili seasoning. This is where all the flavor comes into play. And remember, 1 cap is 1 tablespoon. So I'll put 1 over here. And then number 2. The nice thing about this seasoning as well is it's got everything in it for you. It's got your cumin in it. It has your chili powder. Oh, that smells so good. It's got a little bit of dry cilantro. I'll go ahead and stir that in. Now, to this as well, because I want to add a little bit more vitamins and nutrients to this, I'm going to add 2 cups of chopped kale. It's kind of stuck in here.
You had a little piece fall behind.
Oh,
Right there.
There it is. Thank you very much. I didn't see it back there. And I'll stir that in too. The kale is going to give it a little bit more vitamins. It's going to add a lot more fiber to it. And of course, kale is one of those things that is absolutely approved on program and is so, so good for you. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to, oops, I realized I don't have my lid. Let me grab my lid. Crash bag. All right, and we'll let that cook. Jack, you can pull the camera back so I can finish.
Okay, and you have a question.
Aha, all right. Well, while we've got the lid on and we're cooking away, let's go ahead and take that question.
JC wants to know if you freeze your kale.
JC, that's a great question. And yes, I do freeze my kale because, of course, when you buy that big bag and you buy an organic bag, it tends to go bad pretty quickly. Now, I'll tell you, I throw it sometimes in my my Optavia shakes. I especially love it in the Chia Bliss smoothie. I don't know why. It turns it a real funky color, but it's awesome. And I'll just throw a little frozen handful in there. Of course, make sure you count that on your counts. But to freeze the kale, it's so hardy and it's so easily frozen that it's one of those things that does not get ruined when you freeze it. Now imagine throwing some lettuce or throwing spinach in the freezer. It's just not going to be as good. But the kale holds up and it lasts forever. So you can take that bag, throw it right in, and take it out a handful at a time. The one thing that I will share with you that I've happened to notice, and it seems no matter what brand I use, is that over time in the freezer, that bag that it's in gets really brittle and it can break. And I had a real bad experience once where I was pulling it out of the freezer and it broke and that kale went everywhere. So you may just want to transfer it into a larger zipper style bag to make it a little easier for you. And of course, reuse it over and over again so that you're taking care of the environment as well. So great question, JC. And yes, not only can you use it frozen in your smoothies, but you could throw it frozen in here too. So great question. Anything else, Jackie?
No.
All right, no other questions. So while this is cooking, and really this is only going to take about 10, maybe 12 minutes at the very most, because those little pieces of turkey are very fine, so they're going to cook pretty quickly. I am going to turn my heat down just a little bit here to about medium high to go ahead and let this simmer. And we're going to let that tomato flavor meld on through with the kale and the tomatoes and everything else in there. And it's going to be this really thick, warm, chunky chili when we're finished. Now, I did happen to mention, because we did have a question last week about vegetarian style meals. You can take the turkey out of here and add a lot more vegetables to make a really wonderful vegetarian style chili. So what could you use? Well, chopped up portobello mushrooms in here would be really great. The only thing is, if you do use mushrooms, because they've got a lot of liquid in them, and actually I'm going to stop myself and say, if you use mushrooms, you could use zucchini in here, you could use eggplant, any of those vegetables that you would think would lend themselves towards a chili like this. Stay away from some of the sweet things. You don't want to put sweet potatoes, or you don't want to put in your butternut squashes, or anything that's on the sweet side in here, because we want to keep it low glycemic. But if you put any of those other vegetables in there, then what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot more moisture than is in the turkey. So you just want to leave the lid off or leave it cracked a little bit to let a little bit of that steam out of there. And then it won't be quite so liquidy. And if you find at the end of your cooking time, which will be about the same, it'll be about 15-20 minutes all together, then just go ahead and cook it a little more with the lid completely off to let some of that liquid evaporate. But I promise you the flavors will be the same. And of course, your counts will change a little bit. You're not going to have a lean protein in there. It's going to be all veg. So go ahead and just, count accordingly as you're putting things in so that you know what your servings are. Let's talk about counts for this recipe with the kale and no additional vegetables. And I will say too, if you wanted to throw extra veggies in with this, you could do that. I mean, mushrooms would be great in here. Your zucchini would be great in here as well. But as this is, 1/4 of this recipe is only going to be 1/2 of a lean, because remember, 4 ounces of turkey, 16 ounces to a pound, that's all that's in here. It's going to be 1/2 of a lean, 2 greens, you've got 1 condiment, and then your 1 healthy fat option too. So this is really a great, great meal that again, you and your entire family are going to love. So I want to just run down a few things here while this is simmering away. Again, we talk about stick to your ribs recipes and comfort foods, and they don't have to be high in starch or high in fat as long as they're really high in flavor. We want to slowly simmer the foods to be able to get the most flavor out of them. So again, whether you're using a slow cooker or a crock pot, or if you're going to do it on your stove top, you want to cook it nice and slowly over the slow heat or the lower heat like we're talking about here to be able to get the most out of those flavors. And the nice thing about a recipe like this too is you can double or even triple this because it's going to taste even better tomorrow, and it's one of those great things that you can take if you're going to have your lean and green for lunch, or if you come home late one night and you don't have time to cook. And again, if you're going to do this in a crock pot, on a crock pot evening, what I'll do is I'll just leave it on warm, especially on the night when, one kid's in one direction, another kid's in another direction, if I'm going to school or I'm teaching a class, because when it stays warm, everybody can help themselves and serve themselves and have a hot meal without me having to worry. So that's another reason I really love the crock pot. You can do lean meats with this too. Again, we talked about your turkey, we talked about your ground beef you can do in here, or ground chicken. If you like veal, you can do ground veal in here too. And then there's even the turkey sausage. You could do a turkey sausage chili with this as well. So again, this is one of those basic recipes that you can jazz up in a bunch of different ways. The other thing too, we talk about some of the fuelings that MetaFast has and that you can get through your Take Shape coach, like the vegetarian style chili, like the tomato soup, like the cream of broccoli soup. Again, those are all really hearty, warm, yummy things as well that I don't want you to forget about. I have had quite a few people over the last couple weeks say to me, can your products make those taste a little bit better as well? And the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, in the Lean and Green cooking system that I put together, I send out to you a whole sheet on how to be able to take some of the seasonings that are in that system and be able to jazz up your MetaFast fuelings a little bit more as well. Like the Viva Italiano goes really great in the MetaFast tomato soup, and I put the Zesty white chili in with the vegetarian chili if you like it with a little bit more flavor and a little bit more of a kick. So again, have fun with your food, play with things, flavor things, and get them to stick to your ribs without sticking to your waistline. So that's what this is all about. Ooh, I'm seeing us simmering away here. I'm going to turn down my heat just a little bit more, and let's get this open. Oh, Jack, can you smell that?
Yeah.
It smells so good. All right, and this, my friends, is actually done.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and you can bring the camera over here. This may be a tiny bit hard to see through all the steam here. I'm going to move it off the heat and under the light.
No, you can see it pretty well.
Excellent. Look, first of all, at the beautiful colors that are in there. That red and that green, they really pop off one another. And again, if you could smell this, you'd be like, ooh, I can't wait to dive in. This is one of those recipes that you are just going to love to serve over and over and over again, and will definitely become a quick family favorite. And remember that when your eyes are as happy as your mouth, and this culinary experience becomes full circle for you so that all your senses are totally stimulated, then that is what is going to make for a great recipe and make you very happy and loving your lean and green meals forever. So, do I say question?
Not a question, but both Donna and Lisa say that looks amazing.
Thank you. And you know what? Again, you see how simple it is. And that is what I am all about. As your queen of lean and green, I want to help you stay on program. I want you to transition easier, keep the weight off for good, and be loving, loving, loving your lean and green meals forever. So please post your questions below. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And if you're interested in finding out more, then you can just visit the website at stacyhawkins.com, and there's tons of recipes and ideas and tips there for you too. So thank you so much. I will see you guys next week.